Yo, welcome everybody. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to TCR Trinity Competitive Racing.
Well, TCR TJ is the Season 13 Golden Class Champion for Trinity Competitive Racing.
Oh, let's go, dude! Yes!
Jabbar on the podium! He's on it by a 10! Gentlemen, side by side through one. And silent, and Seafreeze gets a half spin.
Let's fucking go!
Wheel bumping. DRS enable, let's do it. And Captain Blade battling it out for position. Captain Blade. Ickle, what the Then McChicken goes around and he also makes
rewind down the front straight. Oh my god.
I gotta check the heart rate.
Why do we do this? Because of nights like this.
Yo, welcome everybody to TCR Trinity Competitive Racing, and welcome to episode number 33 of the Racing Debrief, TCR's podcast, where we combine the world of e-racing, sim racing, and TCR with real-life motorsports and Formula One, a true racing enthusiast's listen. I am your host, C. Freeze, and I'm usually joined alongside my co-host of Camden Luca, although he's gone missing tonight, so he might be joining us at some point tonight, but if not, we hope we find him and he'll be on the next episode, hopefully. But we are recording this on September the 4th, and yeah, let's get into it. I am with a special guest, and the first time on the podcast, which he gets his whole episode to talk about him, basically. And we're going to give him a pretty grand, entrance. He is a long-time TCR veteran, a TCR current official. He is your head of stat department. He's a TCR steward. He is also an inductee into the TCR Hall of Fame. He is a Hall of Famer, and he is currently a Golden Class driver. It's none other than GTR-Lion. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Seafreeze. Appreciate it. Appreciate the warm welcome, and thanks for having me tonight.
Yeah, I really can't believe this is the first time we're having you on an episode. I feel like we were going to have you on at some point, and I think something didn't work out. I forget, a long time ago. And just weeks went by, and we never really got you on one. But I think this is a suiting episode. I've been wanting to do this one for a long time because I don't know if hopefully people realize and know that we've did the Hall of Fame voting for the first time in TCR. Last season was our first induction, and you were on the ballot, you were eligible, and you got in. So we're going to talk, this whole episode is going to be about the first inductees into the Hall of Fame, which there were 3. 2 are here today, and hopefully we'll get the third one, which is Mr. Sensation, on a video episode shortly. And then later on we'll talk more about the new nominees onto the ballot, and kind of how all that will kind of go this way. People who are maybe going to be listening to this get some insight on some of the drivers that are on the ballot and kind of how the whole system works if you've never voted before. But yeah, this is it. I feel like when we did this, the first induction last season, it was a good opportunity, good time to start it, because we're 15 seasons in, and we just started one. You know, there's so much history in all of our classes, all of our seasons, all of our years that we've been doing this. Like, there was no better time unless you wanted to wait till season 20, which it's like another 2.5 years away. There was like no other time. Like, who's gonna start a Hall of Fame induction ceremony season 17? It just doesn't make sense. You have to go on a nice number. 15 was a nice number, GT.
Yep, it was.
So it was a good time to start. We had so much history, and it's kind of just a nice way to look back at some of the other drivers. A lot of the drivers who are on the ballot is, most don't race nowadays, although you do have a few that are on the ballot that still do race or still are active. But it's just nice to kind of look back at some of the history of those who paved the way, so to speak, and kind of compare their statistics versus our statistics of today, and drivers can kind of relate to that. And I don't know, I thought it was a good idea. So last time was our first induction ceremony, and yeah, you were on the ballot. Did you think, GT, that you would get in on the first nomination? There were a lot of good people on the list, but did you think about it?
I thought about it, and quite frankly, I hoped I would have made it, and I think it would have been a little bit close, just because there's only 3 people that would get voted in, and I think as you said, the list of names was pretty much all of them are legends, to say the least. And it's an absolute, honor to be on it, and I appreciate everyone who voted for me to be one of the 3 Hall of Famers. So I'm pretty proud about it, and yeah, and I thank everyone who voted for me and who didn't as well. So I'm very glad I made it in the first induction.
Yeah, I think when you look at the list, and whoever was on the first go around will also be on the second one. Obviously, not the ones who got in. But if you look, when you say a lot of them are legends, they could be legends in a couple different ways, which I think is kind of unique here. So this is what I have on the Hall of Fame Google form for the voting, and I'm just going to read it here. So the TCR Hall of Fame will be a way to recognize the league's greatest drivers, commentators, and contributors over our long history. It will be a coveted honor and privilege to be inducted into, and should be taken with great care when casting your ballots. Those with the most accomplishments and contributions to the league should be considered. And when you look at any name on that list, they've either won on track or had a good track history as a driver with their statistics. They either contributed as a commentator, which is very important, because that we didn't start doing our commentary until like season 3, season 4, and we didn't really get full time like every single race until season 5. So from season 5 onward, we haven't missed a race. We have at least somewhat of a race streamed on our YouTube channel. So it's really important, because those streams, those commentators help relay our product of racing to the whole league, and that's really important, and that we have commentators there. So we have some of those on the ballot, and also contributors, as in either you've been around the league for a long time, just a good driver to have in the Discord, and good driver to race with, or even have some fun with in the voice chats or in the group chat. Like, they were somebody that really supported TCR and was there for it all, or other contributors, as in you were on as an official, you helped as a moderator. At the time back then, we didn't really have a moderator, we were more just officials, but either you helped out in some way, stewarding, whatever way you helped, you could have contributed towards. So when you look at that list, I mean, I've talked individually to every single one of them from that first and even the second one, and I can remember so many good moments from all those three categories of a driver, a commentator, and a contributor, and you can point to each one and it's just like, oh, I remember when this happened, I remember when this happened. And for me and you, we might know a lot of that. From a lot of the newer drivers of today in the league, they might not obviously know because they weren't around. But yeah, everyone, like you said, is definitely legends. And
Yeah,
they could all really be in with one or another. You know, they all have a reason to be in, for sure.
absolutely. And I mean, you know, TCR like, also represents like a racing community that, you know, I think once we go into a little bit of the stats later, maybe we have a lot of drivers that have been around for a really long time, and you know, I think it just speaks to the community that we built. A lot of people, even if they don't race today on the grids, they still, you know, engage in Discord, and so I think we're kind of a racing community that enjoys it and enjoys the sports and loves the sport, and you know that's kind of what makes it even better. That we don't just race and not know each other. We a lot of people talk to each other. They join the voice chats. So everybody knows everybody in a way, which is kind of cool and unique. I've been in some other leagues without naming any. The Discord is whisper quiet. They
Yeah.
just like there's no community. It's just a pure league. And that's I think what makes TCR also unique in that regard. And that's what makes our drivers and the people that come and join us, you know, part of the community.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for a lot of the time when we first started, the first few seasons, it was really just an organic, fun league with a lot of these guys that are on the ballot, just kind of buddies that we met online, and we all had the same interest, which was racing, motorsport, and particularly Formula One, and then obviously league racing more specifically. And we had so many interests right there. So when you have somebody that you know or will know or get to know that have the same interests that you all are really passionate about, you know, it's really easy to start to connecting with them. And we just had a lot of fun in the first few seasons, and that's just kind of what kick-started TCR, was these guys on this. So many of these drivers on the first ballot, and even the second, are drivers in like OGs. I think
Yeah,
we call
TC,
them.
you know, I think like say the word TCR takeover.
Yeah.
Somebody says, "Oh yeah, I remember. He's an OG." Let's
Oh, yeah.
just put it that way. I think you know, back in the day, we used to. I don't know. Did the lobbies used to be hosted, or no?
Um,
Why did like I think we used to just join and take over a lobby pretty much.
yeah, because they were, I think back on like 2018, it was a voting system that
Yeah,
you could, if you got enough votes, you can kick somebody from the lobby if they were dirty or whatever. So we had the TCR takeover, so we would just join a random open lobby because we didn't make our own. We wanted to race with others as well because that's how we brought new people into to the league as well.
yeah,
So
that's
we
right.
would join. We'd have enough votes from TCR alone that we would start voting out the other people's lobby. And eventually, I think there's obviously one host. Eventually, one of our guys would get the lobby host. And then we would be able to change some settings, I think, or whatever. But those are fun because we'd be, if anybody looked at us funny, GT, what'd we do? We'd vote them out.
Yep.
We'd vote them out. If they looked at us funny, we'd be like, all right, let's vote this guy out. And that was the TCR takeover. We would go into the open lobbies, and we were all
They
in the
used to
voice
have
chat.
it very regularly too.
Hmm. The
It's
whole league
like
would get together in a voice chat, and we would talk and race almost
and laugh. Yeah.
every
Fun
night,
times.
weekend, like that was more the priority then. You know, it wasn't as more of practicing for the league race, but I mean that was we practiced too a little bit, but then we just raced and had fun. And
Oh
we
yeah.
got to know each other, and I think at that time the first, I'd say the first 5 seasons or so was just about having a good time, having fun with the league, and we grew so much too. We figured a lot of things out, but all these names on these lists are legends and kind of started the league organically, fun, um, back then, and you could literally point to anybody, and you would know them, and I think that's why I have such a that's why I love, like today, I always say to the drivers of the now, get in a voice chat, start to talk to your teammates, start to talk to the rest of the drivers in the league, start to do open lobbies, join the voice chats, especially now we do cross-platform. Get in the Discord, because it's, you can join the Discord on PlayStation and Xbox, and if you're on PC, you already have it. And start to get to know everybody, because these guys, even though a lot of them don't race, I can message them, we could start a party, and it's like it's like we've just talked yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's absolutely true, and that's kind of just it's a full circle back to we're a racing community, and that's by definition what a community is, and that's what makes us special. And our drivers is what makes us special, honestly.
Yeah. And with all these drivers, kind of helped us start the league in those first few seasons. Then we got to be a little bit more organized, and we started to be more towards the competitive nature, and all those stats that we've been keeping track of really did start to mean something, because now through 15 seasons, now we're in season 16, you get to, compare your statistics to every driver in the league and see where you stack up to unlock your racing potential. So the way we do things now, it's like, wow, we can really look back at all this, and to really see where we once came from, and it's cool. So this list to me means a lot, because a lot of these drivers was when the league just started, and I think that's for a lot of the time I've raced personally, and you did as well, and you're still racing. And for a lot of the time, I raced because I like to race and be competitive and look at those statistics. But now, as time has moved on, personally, I get more out of the league from where it was when we first started. Now I'm having fun, not even though I'm not racing. I'm having fun doing the podcast like I am right now. I'm having fun doing the commentating for the silver class and watching all the new drivers enter the league, for them to just starting their career. And I'm having fun because even though this list, all these drivers have been, I knew for years, since 2016 the league started. And I can message them and we could have a conversation. It's like we never, left. But even the drivers of the now, the drivers of today in Platinum, you look at, Taz, Professional, Bat, Silent, Meb, all these guys in Platinum, and Fire, Flow, God Any, all these drivers even today, we've been racing for years. Since 2020, when the pandemic happened, a lot of people entered in there. And what I get a lot out of the TCR now is that we all have the same interest and passion of motorsport, and it'd be cool, like one day, if we, and I have met up with a few drivers, Camden being one of them. We actually did a whole or stay and went to a NASCAR race and all that. It was a lot of fun, and I hope to do that with more drivers, or more people from the Discord, moving forward as I go to more and more races around the United States and whatnot. So even that, for me, is what I get a lot out of TCR. You know, in another 5-10 years, hopefully TCR is still moving. But even if not, we've built so many relationships for all these years. You can go and have a race, you know, in real life and meet up, and so it's just really cool. But the accomplishments on track, commentator, contributor, you know, that's what really drives this thing, is the drivers. And then if we didn't have any drivers, we don't have a league. So this is a way of giving back to them. And the Hall of Fame is just a way of talking to about some of these drivers, you know, to bring them back into the conversation, to kind of look in the past. So for me, I love it. I love the Hall of Fame, and for me, it means a lot because of all that time. So if anyone is placing their ballots, which I don't know, by the time this is uploaded, it'll be tomorrow morning, so Tuesday morning, the Hall of Fame voting poll should be released in the Discord. So if you're in our Discord, you can vote. So we have all of our statistics, and I'll get through that a little bit later. But yeah, really good stuff. Let's see. Do you remember, GT, your first race?
Oh, do I remember my very first race?
In
It's been a
TCR.
very long time. But I can vaguely remember that it was like towards the end of the third season.
Yes.
And I remember the whole thing, by the way, like just maybe taking a step back out of that. Like I remember, I think you and I ran into each other in a 5-lapper lobby. And I think you approached me right after, you know, the lobby was over, and you asked me if I'm interested in league racing, and I had no idea what league racing is. I was just I was a bot that drives with full assist, and you know, I love the sport, but I wasn't good at the game. I wasn't a controller back then. I was like, yeah, I'll be interested, and so on. So I did join, and I did my first race. I'm gonna say what it is because I manage the sets, as everyone knows. And
there's never a wrong answer. When you manage the stats, you find the correct answer.
yeah, and it looks to me that it was Australia.
Australia, or I think Austria.
Probably Austria.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember.
I guess that was my first race.
No, it was at the end of the season too. And you know what's funny with that is you're right. I did message you from the from a 5-lapper, and
From a 5-lapper. Yeah.
and to be honest, at that time period, the first 5 seasons, I'd say. I mean, we did promote some of our league, you know, in some forums and whatnot. But the main reason, especially that first grid, the first season's grid, the only way you got in is if you knew me, and that was it. like the list to get, you had to be on the list to get in. And at that time, a lot of the recruiting was me, and maybe others as well. But I would do a lot of 5-lappers, and I would find drivers that I thought I had a good race with or had potential, and I would send them a message. I'd say, hey, you want to join my league? And it was TCR at the time, and I sent you one, and I sent a lot of people messages. So people who joined around that time period, season 1 to 5, or even further down, most likely they got a message from me. And that's how you knew about TCR. Nowadays, I don't do that at all. I put it on the forum, and we get people coming, you know, because we're a lot bigger now than we were then. But do you know what? I remember that same race. I believe it was Monaco. It was a 5-lapper. And I was in the party with your season 5 Thursday class, which now is considered the platinum class, driver's champion, Sean 46307. He is on the ballot. Me and him were in a party, and we were doing 5-lappers. And I'm pretty sure he got into an incident with you at Monaco.
Oh, he did.
And he was mad at you. And he was saying that you didn't know how to drive, blah, blah, blah. And I bet you, if you go back in your messages on PlayStation, I think Sean messaged you. And I believe I was in the party with him. And I said, no, GT, he looked pretty cool on track, because me and you had a good battle, I think. So I was kind of putting a good word in for you, even though I didn't even know you at the time. And I told Sean, because we were in the party, and I said, no, don't go no, don't go too hard on GT. Let's give him a shot. Let's see what he's got. And I'm pretty sure if you go back on your messages, Sean messaged you probably about you wrecking him or whatever. I don't even know what happened. And I think I messaged you then too, and that's how we met each other back then. And I would have never thought that back then, I messaged so many drivers, only a certain few even join the league or respond, let alone, do all this for the league and get into the Hall of Fame. Like, that was back in Season 3. We were on the 2017 game, which was probably 2017.
Yeah, it was 2017.
And, I mean, we're in 2023. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We're
it's
going
been
on
6
2024. I mean, this is a long time.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure you should check back on your messages and see if Sean ever messaged you and when. Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened, because I remember it.
I won't be surprised
Yeah.
if that was the case. I mean, Sean, as we all know, he's one of the quickest drivers that the league has seen over the years.
Yeah.
And me back then, I was literally like a bot on a controller, and I wouldn't have wrecked him intentionally. I was just probably being too slow, and he's just coming at me too quickly in Monaco. He
Yeah.
brakes maybe 20 meters later than I do. So, yeah, I think that's how my journey kind of started with TCR is just a random 5-lapper,
Mhm.
and I never looked back. Pretty much, I enjoy every minute of it over the years, and I think I became an official in Season 4.
Yeah. Right after.
Right after, and I've been an official since then too. And it's I'm very proud to be part of it, and you know if I don't find satisfaction in being part of this community, I won't be here. And TCR means a lot to me in a lot of ways. I don't want to say I know most of the drivers, but I think I do. Like, at least ran into them over the years, and spoke here and there. So yeah, I think that's how it all started. And
Do you?
here we are.
Yeah, and here we are. A lot's happened, and we saw a lot too. I mean, and to be honest, now, obviously, I was on the ballot as well, and even though I was still unsure if I would have gotten in or not, because I know some people in their voting can be pretty biased, and I will say that most drivers that I race with on this ballot, at the time I was very competitive, right? And a lot of the time I had the persona of Seafreeze on, and for those who don't know, I'm a lot younger than you might think. Some people think I'm like 50 years old, GT. At the time that this was started, I was quite young, let's just say. So I was a maturing Seafreeze back in the day, and I had that persona of being young, quick, and cocky, so to speak. So I might have rubbed a few people the wrong way, racing through. So I was thinking, oh, maybe some of these votes might not come back my way 15 seasons later. So I never really quite knew. Although I would like to think I had a lot of good relationships built, and I think if everybody took the time um, to talk to me outside of my Seafreeze persona and know me as Chris, then um, I would think we would have a lot in common and can get along. But I will say there there's no like for me to get in alongside you and also Sensation, which we're gonna have another. We're gonna get Sensation on here at some point.
Oh
Hopefully,
yeah.
hopefully soon. We were gonna line it up, but I think we'll have to get him on an episode. But you know, for me to be entered in with you and Sensation is like there's no other better match for me to get entered in with. Because Sensation and we'll talk more about him when he gets on here, but he was a big part of why I even started league racing and started TCR, because he helped start TCR as well. He was somebody who did a lot of the first commentaries of a lot of my races that I won, and a lot of the moments I had was Sensation was commentating on. So a lot of the memories I have on stream was from him, especially when starting the league, me and him, and
I mean,
helped. So
he still has his own. He rubbed on all of us in a good way.
yeah,
Like wheel banging is his.
heel banging, yeah.
It's his. Holy moly guacamole. That's also his. I still say it until today, even in my real life. I absolutely love that. I mean,
And how about,
yeah,
hey, GT, you got a nice helmet over there.
yeah, the helmets. I mean, up until now, by the way, I custom design my helmets every season, depending on the car that I race in, and I usually have like a couple or three that I can spend, tons of time beyond your imagination, fine tuning the colors and choosing the right ones just for the season, in hopes of somebody says on the stream, "Oh, this helmet looks very nice."
Yeah.
And if Mr. Sensation was still commentating today, I have no doubt that my helmets would have caught his attention. But yeah, I mean, he's a legend, and he's a very nice guy. I absolutely have very good fun relationship, like fun memories of all the laughs and giggles and all that good stuff. So 100% in that regard.
Yeah, and
And you know what?
actually, no, go ahead.
Yeah, there's one thing I wanted to say that just crossed my mind when it comes to me saying I joined the league in season 3. I was an absolute bot, and I think probably if it wasn't for TCR, I wouldn't be the driver that I am today. And the reason being is just, again, it goes back to the community, and a lot of people helped me along the way to start turning off assist. I think thanks to you, I think you're the first one. I think you're one of the few that pushed me towards that. I remember whenever a new game launches, maybe like 2018, but like before it launches, you and me will be in a party chat and be like, GT, don't turn on traction and just go cold turkey. No traction. It's a new game. It's a new territory. Just learn it. And then that 2019 games around and be like, turn off ABS.
I remember it too. I said that to everybody too, but I was like, "Come on, GT, let's unlock some more speed. Take that stuff off."
And believe it or not, I did that with my current teammate Rems, and I've been racing with him, a little bit over a year now, and on the 2022 game, it was a little bit of a challenging game to drive with no traction and no assist in general. So in between the two games, I'm like, Rems, you gotta turn it off and just never look back. Just go to him. And I pushed him so much towards that, to the point where he'd be like, okay, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And because I was like, if you want to join the league, you need to turn it off. Like, you can't race with me if you can't turn it off. I didn't say that to him directly, but that's what I'm implying to him. If you want to join the league, you gotta turn it off, and he
Yeah,
did.
for
And
Golden Class, yeah.
so what you did to me, I passed it on to my current teammate, and yeah, I think long story short, I'm very grateful to TCR and everybody that I've raced with over the years that made me who I am today. I'm not the quickest by any means. A lot of people think I'm too quick. I'm not too quick. I'm just consistent. I haven't won a race yet this season, and I only have few wins from season 14, but that was just I don't know. Maybe even those races that I won, I didn't win by a huge margin.
Well, that's
But
the
yeah.
interesting thing, is that you are in the Hall of Fame, but you're still continuing to add to your career, because you're in the Golden Class and you're in the championship fight. And you go back to season 14 when you joined late and you had some disconnects because that game on 22 wasn't the best ability-wise. If all things go in your favor, you're the golden champion in season 14, because you lost by a point, but a lot. Like I said, you joined late and you had disconnects, and there was a lot of other factors that limited you there. But I think you're still continuing to add to it, and I think that's kind of cool, because even though you're on the ballot, because we kind of off-flag it as far as whoever's on the ballot. The first induction was the first drivers from season 1 to 3. If you raced at any point, you would be added. The next additions is anybody who raced from season 4 to 6. So anyone who raced any race, one race, between season 1 and 6, and you're eligible, meaning you did enough race starts, you have enough of a resume, you would get added to the ballot. So some on this ballot list that we'll get into pretty shortly will be active drivers today, and you got in and you're still adding to it. So I think your resume will only improve. But I will say just one thing back on Sensation. I forgot, he was also a teammate of mine as well, not in TCR but in HRL, which was the first league I joined with Alan, who was also on this list. With the helmets, going back to Sensation, and a lot of times when I do the commentary, a lot of times I'll say certain things like the helmet, like wheel banging. I think I said wheel banging at Netherlands at some point at the Silver Race last week or 2 weeks now, because I like to pay tribute to some other commentators and other drivers. So sometimes I'll sneak in a thing here or there. But I remember one time, and I only found it and remembered it because I was looking back at footage, and it was season 6 Spain, and Sensation was commentating a race for the Platinum class, and I remember in quali, when I was looking back at the footage, he was spectating my car, and he saw my helmet, and he spent 5 minutes or more just dissing my helmet. He said, "Seafreeze, I'm not gonna lie, that's the ugliest helmet I've ever seen." He's like, "I've never liked the helmet." He's like, "I've always liked the helmets from every driver. Love every driver's creativity, but that one ain't it." And it had me dying when I remembered that. So, if you're listening to this, go back, season 6 Platinum class. It's during qualifying, and oh, that was so funny. But you could go to any stream at that point in Sensation and be like, "Oh, that's a cool helmet. That's a cool helmet." And that was the first one he didn't like. So I guess I have an award there in his book. It was a fun moment. But the other thing is, I was gonna say, you know, and you were saying, and this kind of what made me think about it, is that you said that you may not have been the quickest driver or whatever, but you like the community and you were going through and improving with the assist, taking it off, and just kind of doing you basically, and that made me think about kind of me and why this means a lot. Obviously for me, getting in is kind of just like a final, like almost like a final stamp, a final conclusion of a lot of my career driving wise. And when you said that, it kind of just makes me realize, or want to just say that through my career of driving, although yes, I'm competitive and would like to win and win a lot, and I would be lying if I say I don't look at the statistics. I do look at the statistics, and right now they look pretty good. But in a few years, when they're all broken by BTOM, they're not going to be pretty good. As a driver, I do look at the stats. I do look at my accomplishments, and I am competitive in that nature. As an owner, on the other side, it'd be so cool for me to be 7th, 10th, 15th on the all-time wins or champion, like all the highly regarded statistics. It'd be so cool for me to be ranked pretty low, or because that means TCR's been around for many, many more years. That means a lot more quality drivers have joined the league, stuck around, and they put in their work to beat and kind of stamp their legacy in TCR. So, although as a driver and when I was currently driving, I did care about all that. As an owner of the league, wanting the league to do well in the future, long term, I always think of, I put the owner's hat on and say, oh, it'd be so cool if we had a lot more quality drivers add to their legacy and add to the community, and for me to get shrunk down the list, so to speak. But I think one thing I will say is that I might not be, because I don't think personally I was ever the quickest. If you look at my qualifying, I've never really been known for outright speed. I was somebody who kind of needed to be prepared and practice. And what I will say is, my attributes as a driver and what I'd like to kind of be known for getting into the Hall of Fame is the preparation, passion for league racing, putting a race together, showing up, hard work, and racecraft, I think are some of my attributes as a driver. So, showing up prepared and putting in results and just getting the most out of a race, even if I wasn't the quickest. And I don't think I was the quickest, and there's definitely been a lot quicker drivers. You mentioned Sean, we were talking about it a little bit earlier. When I was racing him for the Season 5 championship, I don't think I've ever beaten him on track, fair and square. He always out-qualified me, and he always beat me in the race. The only time I beat him is if he DNF'd, had an incident, or he had a back of the grid, I had the back, like we weren't on equal footing. So there's definitely a lot more quicker drivers. Another one more of current day would be B-Tom or Tasmanian Devil. Also very quick, very all-around great driver. And there's been a lot throughout TCR. So for me, I think even though I might not have been the best, I did try my best, and had a lot of passion throughout the league. Doing it as an owner driver could be difficult. I know a lot of leagues throughout the year that have is pretty much no longer, and that's because it is hard to drive and manage a league. So I feel like I could have been a better driver if I wasn't an owner. And I feel like I could have been a better owner if I wasn't a driver. But I think, the combination of the two is quite a good balance. So
Yeah,
it's
but
been
that
fun.
yeah, in that regard, I'm glad you mentioned it because might as well I could capitalize as well on the same things. Like for me, I'm in the same boat. Like I do prepare a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I over prepare even to the point where it's kind of too much. But I enjoy preparing. Like that's also me in real life. Like if I want to go to work, I want to go to a meeting or anything that in my own daily life, I usually over prepare for those things. It's just makes it easier. You're less kind of it just makes it easier to like isolate the minor mistakes that you could make, knowing that you're not the quickest. So when you isolate those, you're in a much better spot. um I could like I'm also, I would say, I'm maybe known in the league as a clean driver.
Yes.
um
Wait. Absolutely you are. Are you kidding me? And I know you're going to bring it up.
Yeah.
How many incidents have you been submitted for and got penalized for? How many? You probably can count on your one hand. Probably very few, if none.
the only
And go ahead, say it. Who
knock on
submitted
wood.
you?
knock on wood, knock on wood. I've had to date 99 starts at TCR, and I only was submitted to my knowledge once, and it was by yourself. It was in France. I think we were on different strategies, different tires. I think your tires were very worn out, and I think it was in the slow corners of Sector 3 where I probably like tapped you very briefly, but you spun around, and rightfully so. I mean, it wasn't, I wasn't trying to overtake. You were just very slow. I got on the power way before you did.
Thanks.
But that was the only incident report that was my fault throughout my days in TCR.
Did
as
you get
far
a
as I
penalty
know.
for that? I don't remember.
I believe I did.
I don't even
but it was
remember the incident, to be honest. I'd have to look back.
It was a very minor incident.
Yeah.
I think maybe I got one penalty point, but that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I am usually known for. I like if I do tap somebody or I do kind of touch somebody, like I think everybody knows it's not me. Like it's not my intention to tap you, or I either like my car slid into you a little bit. But usually, even when I bump somebody, I always move away as quickly as I can. It's just the car understeers or oversteers, whatever the case may be. But I usually like immediately move away. It's not like I will bump somebody and keep bumping.
I will say
But yeah,
that
that's kinda...
you definitely are one of the cleanest drivers on the track, and also one of the most respectful drivers off the track. And I think those two can definitely, describe you as a driver person in TCR. And I think with the 99 race starts, and I want to get to your 100th because we're going to talk about. I just wanted to say three things that I think of when racing with you. Three things come to mind while we shared the track together. Number one, I remember back in season 4, it was Japan, and I will say I had a bad start. Basically took out the whole grid. And I don't know what happened that day. But I remember it was also my my first DNF in TCR. I went the first 3 seasons with no DNF, and I remember trying to pass you at Japan at 130R. I tried to go down the inside, side by side with you. I think I had a little bit too much turning angle, because that season was my first season on wheel. And I remember trying to overtake you, and you gave me room. You were clean, and I got it wrong, and that was my first DNF, was alongside you, and it was all my fault. So that's number 1. I remember sharing the track with you. My first DNF in TCR was with you. Although I didn't even hit you. It was all me. But you were there. I was trying to pass you.
I remember.
The second thing would be when, all the way fast forward to season 10, I did 10 full-time seasons in TCR. And in season 10, I was debating, stopping full-time. And for me at that time, it wasn't like the first few seasons, like I was saying earlier. A lot of it was fun, talking with the guys and just having more fun in the league. It later on, between seasons 7 and 10, became more competitive, a lot more of a competitive nature. And for me, it just felt so much pressure to practice and be prepared. So I was debating on stepping away for a little bit, in which I did for season 11 and 12. But I remember that final race at the time, which was going to be, my final race. I remember having a good race with you at Mexico for the finale of season 10. And I remember we had a nice, good battle towards the end. And it was fun to share the track. At the time was kind of my last race. I didn't know I would be back in season 13. And another third one that I do remember is, I remember practicing, because we did practice a fair amount, because I think we both like to be prepared for the races and kind of work towards a goal, which I think is fun in league racing. And I remember there was a race in season, I want to say 8. It was Baku, and we were practicing together. And I remember we were practicing, and I was kind of worried about my pace, and I was worried about the setup, and I was feeling a little bit nervous. Not nervous, but just didn't know where I would be placed on the grid. How quick I would be. Where would I be finishing in that race at Baku? And I remember you told me, something along the lines of, don't worry, your speed is good. Like, that's winning pace speed. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, really, that's some winning pace. And I went out there, and I didn't win the race, but I lost to Roll, but I did, which was his, I think, first race win. And I got P2, but I remember that moment and a lot of other moments that we practiced together, and you're always good at motivating me to practice and to show up every race, and it's not over until it's over. And I think I learned a lot from you. So yeah, those are a few moments that kind of stick out that I just wanted to kind of share. But
thank you. I appreciate the kind words. I mean, same goes here, by the way. I know we raced in Platinum a number of seasons together, and but I wasn't a front runner in Platinum. I was anywhere between 5th and 10th every race. So the chances of us coming close to each other on track was very minimal. But I do remember very clearly in my head that the 2 instances that you mentioned, the Japan and the Mexico one, and I share the same sentiments. I think you're also a very fair driver, and you're a little bit more aggressive than me, I would say,
yeah.
but not aggressive in a bad way.
yeah,
you're just aggressive within, the
Smart
racing.
aggressive.
Yeah, smart aggressive. Um, but yeah, I do share the same sentiments, and I really, as a driver, I do think very highly of you in terms of the days that we used to prepare together, and you were giving me some tips and suggestions. And I remember sometimes even you would join in a session, retire, and kind of spectate and ride with me on board in a lab and be like, GT, you gotta take this turn a little bit wider, take the entry, carry more speed, and kind of giving me some tips on how to get quicker. So you were also at some point um, somewhat a coach to me when it comes to getting quicker on those kind of marginal turns and kind of picking up different lines and so on. So
Yet we were never teammates.
we're never teammates. I
Never
think we tried.
teammates. We were gonna
We
be.
we, we tried, but I think you right. I mean, there's. I think at the time where we were racing, I wasn't the quickest. I would score anywhere between 40 to 80 points a season, which is objectively speaking, it's not good enough to win a constructors. And I think you had a
I don't
goal
know.
in mind. You had a goal in mind to win a constructors, and um, for the longest time, I mean, you've been teammates with Talon,
Yeah.
which I had, very good memories with him. Um,
Yeah, I think at that point I was with Talon and then Kersey, who went on to win Season 10, and then we won the Constructors. So I think when we teamed in Season 9, me and Kersey, because me and Talon split in Season 9, because we both wanted to kind of coach a new driver coming into the league. So Talon was with Dothau Hoist, who's not racing with us anymore. But at the time he was a new driver, looked like a lot of potential. So Talon went with him, and I went with Kersey, and we were teammates for 2 seasons. So I think I didn't want to maybe leave one of them, because something was working well. But hey, I appreciate those words, and you never know. Never say never. We might be
you never say never.
we
Yeah.
might be teammates at some point or another. If I come back and you get the platinum, we could be teammates.
Yep.
Or if I regress so much, I can join you in golden. Oh, that's
Yeah.
funny.
That would be an absolute pleasure.
So your first podium was at Mexico. I see here. You do like Mexico a lot. What was do you remember your first podium and then also your first win, just quickly? Your first win would have came in golden. You never won in platinum, but your first podium was in platinum. So do you remember a little bit of that? Or vaguely?
If I'm not mistaken, that Mexico podium was
Season 4.
yeah, it was season 4, and I believe it rained. And I think what got me the podium was the strategy more than anything else. I mean, Mexico. Don't get me wrong. I think Mexico is probably. I'm very quick there. Let's just put it that way. And I love that track. But I think I got it. I got it. I got it. I think it rained, and I pit it on the wrong time. I gained a lot of positions towards the end, and that's how I got the podium. But I was very happy to get a podium, like pretty much in my first full-time season. With I think there was a lot of quick drivers on the grid. So I had, my second best finish in that season was 7th. So I'm usually 8th, 7th, 6th, 9th. That's kind of where I'm at. But I think it was just a transitioning and a good strategy call that landed me my first podium in platinum. My first win in golden, I took a little bit of time, I would say. Actually, not too much. I won my first race in Silverstone.
Ah, that's a good one to win.
Yeah, that was my first race win, and it was between myself, Dirt Shark, and Dirt Shark. By the way, he finished like 4 tenths behind me. It's not like I was smashing the field. He was right there behind me. But it was between me, him, and D'Angelo, I believe. D'Angelo spun, I think, during that race at some point, and I think that's how he didn't kind of contend going like for the rest of the race for the win. But it was between me and Dirt Shark, and it was a very close race. And back then I didn't have a teammate, so as a matter of fact, all season I didn't have a teammate in Golden. It was a good. I mean, it was. I'm not gonna lie. I screamed. You know, it was just like.
Wait, you screamed when you won the
What?
race, or?
What? Yeah, when I crossed the line and
Oh,
won the race.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Now? Let me ask you this: um, do you have the recording of do you hear you scream in a recording or no?
Unfortunately, just because I don't have a team yet, I wasn't
You weren't in the party.
driving with that. I wasn't in a headset. I recorded the race, but
but not the yeah.
I didn't have a mic on. There's no need. I was just driving on now.
That's some
The
of my
regular
favorite
speakers.
moments when I look back at some of my footage and I do have my audio on and I do hear my excitement because in the moment you you know, it's like the best moment winning. You never know when you will ever win again, right? You never know if you will ever win again. So those moments are so special, and there were some races I didn't have audio go through or didn't have race footage, and I wish I would have had my reaction. But thankfully, I do have most of them. But those are always good moments. Well, you're at 99 race starts. We thought last week at where were we at? Abu Dhabi? France.
France. Yeah.
France was going to be your 100th, but then we took away the sprint race because that's not technically a race start. So you're at 99. Next week at the British Grand Prix will be your 100th.
Yeah, it will be my true 100th race. Yes.
How do you feel about hitting 100? Do you think you can win in your 100th? And by the way, we just looked at our stats, and you did mention that Segrist won his first race in Golden on his 100th race start.
Yeah, and
so
he didn't know.
And
so,
he didn't know.
He
so if you're listening, Segrist, congratulations. You got it on your 100th and your first one in Golden. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So no, I'm pretty stoked. I'm glad I got a second chance to win on my 100th race. It wasn't. I was genuinely. I genuinely thought my 100th would have been, last week, but as you explained, that the sprint race was miscounted in my calculation, and my true 100th race is this week. And ain't gonna lie, I'm going for the win.
Oh yeah.
I haven't had a win this season yet, and I'd love to get my 100th race as a win. Plus, now we just spoke about my first win. My first one was at Silverstone. It would be sweet to get my 100th race also win in Silverstone. So we'll see. I'm gonna do, all what's in my power to win that race this week, and we'll see where we land. I would say the bare minimum I wanna. My first goal is to finish the race because I don't want a DNF on my 100 race. My second goal is to be on the podium, and my ultimate goal is to win the race. So if I hit two of them, like if I'm on the podium, I'll be happy. because that means I achieve 2 out of the 3. But if I can achieve all 3, that will be sweet. But yeah, I'm preparing. I've already did some practice sessions today, and we'll do some tomorrow. And I'll just do my part, and we'll see if it comes my way.
Nice. All right, so I kind of want to just transition into one other thing here in the podcast. I think we covered a lot, and honestly, we could talk for hours and hours and have so many memories and things that come up. So what we talked about here today was literally so minor of what was, like you said, 6 years of racing and more to come. So we'll have to have you on another episode to talk a lot more
Absolutely.
about all those memories. But I just want to kind of take a moment to just kind of walk everybody through the process of voting, and then we'll get into just a kind of few minor talk about a few additions to the ballot. This way, everybody kind of gets a sense of what to have in store. So let me share my screen on the podcast end of it. Let's see if I could do this here. Alright. Let's see. I don't know where to go. Screen 1 maybe. No. Hey, hold up. Please hold. Please hold. I gotta cut this out.
What are you trying to
No,
share?
no, I got it. Alright. So this is on the, you might not see this, GT, but that's fine. The viewers will see it. So for those who will be voting, this link will be in the Discord. This is Hall of Fame for the TCR ballot class of season 16. So this is our second induction. So I did read this part ahead, but it's very important that everybody takes some time to view every nominee, to cast their ballot the best they can. If you are a newer driver, we have a lot of our statistics and notable accomplishments here to help allow everybody to vote as best they could. So here's a little explanation that kind of goes over the Hall of Fame. Basically, this is the first induction was drivers who raced between seasons 1 and 3, who did at least 15 races or sometimes even more races in their career to be eligible to be on the ballot. So drivers who had a few race starts or no big accomplishments in any way weren't really considered to be joined onto the ballot. The second induction, which is this one, will feature drivers between seasons 1 and 6, and will kind of adjust therefore afterwards. So this next section here is just quick links to the website. So if these don't work, or you could just go to our website, and when you go to stats, you can go to the drivers champions, so you can see, and you can change and filter all these settings. You can see all the driver champions in the league and some of their statistics here. You can go and look at the constructors table. Again, you can adjust all these settings here to look to just inform you a little bit better. We also have full driver statistics lineup. For example, these haven't been updated yet, but they should be. But every driver's stat line is in the Google Doc down here. We also have on the website which we're starting to make them look pretty. This is silver, for example, season 8. Just kind of has a little bit of the results from that season, some poles and fastest laps. But a lot of this is summed up and already given to you, and that is here. So that's what these quick links are, but you can look at the website for more of the statistics to help for when you're casting your vote. These are some notable accomplishments. You might have to zoom in. Let's see if I can zoom in for those watching. You can pause the video possibly to see. The first one is Alan Cavey 1. That's getting a little blocked there. So these are the drivers who were on the original first ballot and their accomplishments. These are the drivers who got added to the second ballot. They're all eligible to be voted in. These are all their accomplishments. This next section is their stat line. So basically, some of the drivers might have done race starts in different classes, but these are their league-wide all combination added in one. So if you want to see the individual class stats, you'd have to go to the website and then go to driver statistics and then go to each class. If you want to look into that, that should be updated soon. But these are all stats pre-season 16, so from season 1 to 15 all completed. If there's any errors, you can let me know. This one is an error right here, but you can do the math on that one. This is statistics for the new nominees who were added from the second ballot. And again, if you want to look at their individual class stats, you can go to the website for that. So everything is kind of here for everybody to cast their ballot. When you are ready to, you can go to this next section here. We are giving everyone a maximum of 6 votes to vote for. If you don't have to place 6 votes, but you can if you want to. You can vote from anywhere from 0 to 6. So you just vote for those who, again, you think are eligible based off this top section. As a driver, commentator, or contributor, those with the most accomplishments and contributions to the league should be considered. So yeah, you could pick up to 6. The top 3 with the most votes received will be entered in. This is season 16 here. This is all in order, alphabetical up until Airborne, who starts the second. Everybody from Airborne down are the new additions. So that's a little bit of information there for those casting the ballot. Very simple, straightforward. This will be open all season up until the finale of season 16, and the results of the inductees will be announced at the All-Star race, which is yet to be announced, but that'll be after season 16. So everybody's got plenty of time to vote. If you're in our Discord, you can vote. So there is all that information there. Alright, GT. After looking at the new additions, and also those who did not get in, any surprises, what's your reaction to the nominations? Nominees, rather. Oh my gosh, past, present tense. I can't do it anymore.
No, it's pretty solid. Nominees here, and it's gonna be somewhat difficult for some folks to cast their votes. But I'm very glad that we extended the number of votes that an individual can cast to 6. Because it's going to be very difficult to only cast for 3. There's a lot of legends here. There's a lot of people that deserve to be inducted into the Hall of Fame here. So already kind of have my idea of where my votes are gonna go, but we'll see how the season goes too, and we'll see where everybody votes, and hopefully the folks that I vote for end up being there, and that just means I'm consistent with everybody who voted pretty much. So it's pretty exciting. Can't wait to see what the results are in a couple months' time. Probably like a little bit more than a couple months, but it will be very exciting here to do. And I think once we get like into the territory of maybe after a few inductions here, maybe we'll have a Hall of Fame race. So anyone who is a Hall of Famer in a few years' time can probably do a social race.
Wow, that is an idea and a half. You got the All-Star race, then you got the Hall of Fame race. You just created something. We should call it, I don't know, Hall of Fame race brought to you by GT. I don't know, that's a pretty bad name.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
pretty
find a
bad
good
name.
name to it.
Yeah, we'll take our time. We have a couple years. We only have 3 people on the grid. It's you, me, and Sensation. Maybe we'll start with some 5-lappers, and then we'll add the rest at the end of the season. Is there any insight into who you might be voting for? Are you going to keep that secret, or is there anybody you'd like to point out, and someone who's maybe underrated on this list that you think people might not know who they are based off of, like I said, it is seasons ago,
Mm.
It's
To
a good
everyone
list.
on the list, I don't mean to pick that name. And like, it's kind of tough to pick one name because honestly, there's a lot of folks. But if there's anyone that may not be very much known to newcomers, I would say Sandemar.
Yeah.
He he he's the one who like he raced a long time. He's a very clean racer. I very much enjoy racing with him. And I think he remained as an official for a number of years. I think a couple of years or so. And he's the one who helped us get in Discord. Like he's the one who
Yes.
helped us like set up Discord the way, like the foundation of it. I mean, obviously it evolved over the years, but I think it was his idea.
Yes, it was.
And
Absolutely.
so I think he, in that level of contribution, just getting us on Discord on the right foot, and just him as a person, he's a very nice gentleman, very clean driver.
Still in the Discord today, so at
Still
him,
on
and
Discord too.
he
Yep.
and he's been pretty active recent as of this recording.
Yep. And yeah, I would shout him out since he's been active in Discord, but just in case there's some recent newcomers that don't know that name.
Yeah, and what would we do without Discord? Another one I'd shout out is Leandre or Dre Diggy, also former TCR official, and he did some commentary, and he also, I remember us 4, so us 2, Xandamar and Dre Diggy, we used to do so many 5-lappers together in parties.
Yeah, Dre, I mean,
Us 4, we would do a lot at that time. That was kind of the group, so to speak. Us 4, we would do a bunch. So Dre did, he did a lot in platinum race. He did golden.
he was my teammate one season too.
was
He's
he?
an absolute nice.
He is a
He's
nice
a very
guy.
nice gentleman. And,
Very nice.
probably one of my most enjoyable race seasons with TCR is when he was my teammate. So by no means when I singled out Xanamar, like I'm taking away from anyone else. I think
yeah.
as I mentioned in the very beginning, if I wanna single out, I think I would talk about everyone on this list.
Yeah.
They're here for a rightful reason, and they all deserve to be, um, inducted into this. So
I think I think for me, two drivers statistically, in my opinion, that are highly regarded by me. I think they're really good drivers, as we talked about them earlier before. Sean, 46307, he's your season 5 drivers champion, and he's also a TCR Grand Prix winner, which is our Platinum Class exclusive event, which was started back in season 8, and we've been doing it every season since. So he does have a TCR Grand Prix win, which is basically kind of a crown jewel, so to speak, in TCR. Another one would be Go-To Guy, season 6 Platinum Class champion, and he is a 2-time TCR Grand Prix winner. The only other person to win 2 would be B-Tom, aka Tasmanian Devil. Those two, along with me, and even B-Tom, and also no, well, I was going a different direction. Gijo Breezy as well. If you look at a lot of the big time main statistics in the league, Sean, Go-To Guy, myself, Breezy, Taz, we are them. We've had a lot of battles together, but those are two really good champions on the grid. If you want to look at people who's still around today, currently, professional, he's been around since season 3 or so. Yeah, over 100 race starts. 2-time constructor champion. He was runner-up last year. He's been a former official. He's done some commentary. He's done stewarding. He knows the league a lot. Big time contributor there. Very close to a championship last season, although he definitely has a lot of what it takes to be a champion. Another current day would be, he's not here. He didn't join us either. He didn't get to. Would be Camden Luca. He won
absolutely.
season 15 Silver Class champion. So when he was on the ballot last year, he wasn't a champion because we didn't finish the season. But by the end of the season, he did get crowned champion. Constructor, third voice of TCR. He's done commentary, big official, current day. So much stuff there. Tico as well as current day, head steward of TCR official. I mean, there's so many you can really go to. You could look at some returning driver, T.S. Odoms, aka the Confessor, has come back. He's your Superclass champion. And because we allowed Season 6 in the edition, Season 6 was the first time we had the Golden Class, which was started on Wednesdays, and it still races on Wednesdays. But Season 5 was the first time we had 2 classes. We had the Super Class, then we had the Thursday Class. In Season 6, that's when we entered the Golden Class. So you see a lot of Golden Class drivers: Airborne, Tiger, Darkest Crime, W, Double the Fun, F1 Racer. I just had to say that. I always used to say that whenever I get into a party. I don't know if he liked it or not. Maybe it was annoying, but I always used to say that. Swarner, Golden Class champion. He just recently joined and kind of left. He had a cookie. He's the Golden Class champion there. Giggle, over 111 race starts in the Golden Class. He was there from Season 6. He's still racing today. ZX is another Golden champion. I mean, you look at so many people that you could count and point to something. D'Angelo is up there on the ballot. He's
it's pretty tough to single out people because, as I mentioned, it's if it's up to me, I'll vote for all of them. I think they're all legends, and they're all
absolutely
contributors at some level. I think there's that's why I was pretty hesitant of rolling out the names.
Yeah.
Just because I don't want to
pull
forget
them out
someone.
to everybody.
But
Jones as well. I mean, Jones hasn't been around in a long time, and maybe there's been a few differences, but I mean, you talk about somebody who really cared for TCR, and had a nice so-called passion for league racing and being an official. He knew what it meant to be an official, and um, he cared about a lot. He did a lot with the graphic work, progressing the league forward. Also a golden champion. Um, Talon. A lot of the guys on the first nominees are drivers who've been there on the first, like Destiny champion there. He was the at the time he was kind of the Tasmanian Devil. He went on and won so many races. He dominated in season 4. I mean, we didn't have domination at like that until we really got to. No one really dominated Platinum until Taz came in and won the last 3 or 4 or 5 championships in the Platinum class. B Smooth was really quick. Jeremiah was really quick. Alan Cavey is a lot of the reason why TCR even started. I joined his first league, and he welcomed me into his league, and then I started the league with Sensation, who did get in, and then the other driver of Juan Nevi 19, who was a founder, co-owner, and that's kind of where we get that Trinity from, because it was the 3 of us. Alan was the first commentator, so there was a lot of, originity, or origin of them, I guess. I don't know what word I was going for. So there's really just a lot of good things from everybody. So take the time. Everybody on this list is either a champion, a contributor, or a commentator. So you're really not gonna find any negatives, so to speak. There's all good things. They're all on the ballot for a reason. They all did something, and that's why they're here. So, yeah, I'm interested to see who gets in. It's
Yeah,
gonna
me
be
too.
it's gonna be
It's gonna
fun,
be exciting.
and
It's gonna be exciting.
hopefully we can have them present when we announce it at the All-Star race, and maybe they could even show up to the All-Star race as a first time, being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So, and then obviously we'll get them on the podcast. We have to get Sensation on to get him an episode, because it was a lot of fun having you on this one, GT. The first time, and I think we saved it for a good time. Hall of Famer. How's that sound?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me today, Seafreeze, and I will definitely join again, and we'll there's more to come for sure in the future. I do want to take like a few minutes to just highlight some of accomplishments that stood out to me when I was working through the stats. So overall in the league we only have and these stats are as of the end of last season, so that doesn't include some of the recent drivers, but I will include them. So we only have 5 drivers that raced over 100 races with us. It's yourself at 172, and we have Professional at 118 races. You have in a Gigan 111. Fire Up Flow, we have him at 110 races, and Talent Guy is at 106. Seacrest joined that club.
Wow.
A couple of races ago. I will join that club this week. So we will have a total of 7 drivers that are over 100 race starts with TCR, which is pretty remarkable. And I think there's a couple that if they show up this season towards the end of the season, they will make that 100 list, and that will be God Only Weep. He's at 88 races, so he needs to start 12 races this season to reach 100 by the end. and the other one would be Bats Plus. He's at 87. So if he shows up 13 races this season, he would hit the 100. And that's it. Surcharge is at 83. He's the next one. We have 15 races this season. Maybe if he reserves some few races here and there, he could and may reach the 100. But that's the only two that could make it to 100 on the entire grid are Bats Plus and Garani Weeb. So it's pretty remarkable. I would say Bats Plus holds the fastest lap record. He has 20 fastest laps. So he's a fastest lap grabber for sure.
He's an achievement hunter.
He's an achievement hunter. Yep. And yeah, so it was just wanted to highlight that because it's kind of remarkable that, you know, when you say you did 100+ race starts, and these race starts means it's not like the season, that the way the measurement is that you actually joined the lobby that day.
Not even the lobby, the actual race. So like you have to get onto the race, right? So sometimes people join the lobby, they go through qualifying. You know, sometimes very rare, you know, they have to leave in quali or whatever. But yeah, this is starting at the 5 red lights. Boom.
Yes. Yep. So it has nothing to do with how many races were in the season. So it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, because we do 15,
it's a huge milestone.
15 or so races per season. We only do really 2 seasons a year. So the most you can really get, unless you reserve and get more, would be 30 plus reserving. And obviously if you're in platinum, you can't reserve downward. So the golden and silver drivers, I think that's why Seagrass got up so quick. He reserves a lot. So he was trying to get there quickest. He probably holds the record of getting to 100 the quickest. Because he does reserve a lot. But if you do 100 races, I mean, we do 30 a year. You're talking at least 3+ years to get to 100.
Yes.
So, like, that's been around. You know, you've been around the block 3 times.
Yep.
And you're still moving. So I think that's really good. And, you know, I do want to say, for those reaching those goals, I really absolutely appreciate you continuing to show up and attend races in TCR. And hopefully you'll get another 100 added in another 3 years or so. And those even to get off 50 is even remarkable. That's around 1.5 years. We usually say that you get a TCR, you become a TCR veteran, basically, if you get 50 races. What do you get if you get to 100? What would that be? Not a veteran. You'd be like a veteran with... What's above a veteran?
I'm not sure. That's pretty tough to beat. But, you know, on the note of 50 starts, I think we, over the history of TCR, we had right around like 320 drivers join us.
Yeah.
Only 47 as of the end of last season that are over 50 race starts, which is pretty remarkable, by the way, to have like almost 50 drivers over 50 races. And most of the names that I see on my screen, most of them are current drivers. So that's pretty remarkable. And
then to only have 4 currently over 100 is even more rare. And then you can say you can add a few more to that list this season that they'll get to the over 100. So we're still in the single digits when you're talking about 100 race starts. So if you get to that mark, you know, thank you very much for really showing up, and hopefully we'll get a bunch more.
We have to get Blend Machine to race 6 races so he can get to 100. He sits at 94 today.
Oh.
So he needs 6 races to reach that 100.
Isn't Roll or Be Good at like 99?
Be Good is at 99.
Roll
is at 89.
Oh, all right. We got to get Be Good, Fever, back onto the grid. One race, a one-time gig, part-time, fill in. Let's get Be Good on the grid. Let's get him to 100, baby. You can't sit at 99. It's so close. So close.
Yeah.
My last thing I was gonna say is I know in the Discord we have the roles. If you become a champion, you get a role added to your profile. If you win a TCR Grand Prix, which is the Platinum exclusive race, you get that role. If you are now in the Hall of Fame, you get a role. I think if you get to 100, you should definitely get a role. I don't know what you would call it, and possibly
What's the
what is it called?
in the airline? They say the mile high club, or was it?
Yeah.
But we need to find an equivalent in racing.
That is true. Yeah, something like that. Maybe racing
find the name.
racing while high club 100. There's definitely some that have done that secret.
We'll find the name.
Yeah,
But
we'll
yeah,
find-
no, I
we'll
agree.
get a roll. I think for
We
the
need to
50,
add a roll for those.
for the 50 it'd be kind of hard. I think because we do have a lot, although it could still be done. But I think the 100 for sure would be a lot more rare. I think you should get something. But nonetheless, yes, very appreciative of all of you drivers showing up and attending TCR. So if you would like to join, you can, if you have gotten to the end of this episode, check the description for more information. And just a little FYI for those listening, all the statistics should be updated tomorrow or today. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, I'll probably have them before the silver class race is broadcast, which we will be at Britain for tonight's race for the silver class, 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Golden class is on Wednesday. Platinum class is on Thursday. And yeah, you can check the description for more information. Follow TCR on all socials and join the TCR Discord server where we are the most active. Once again, GT, it's been an absolute pleasure. Very fun episode, and we'll definitely do it again sooner rather than later. But yeah, that's all we got here today. And until next week, thank you for listening.
Yep. Thank you for having me today.